Before he became a name whispered in fear, he was a broken child, abandoned by fate and haunted by loss, and fighting a daily battle for survival. This is the heart-wrenching story of Henry McCarty, a soul battered by cruelty, whose pain paved the way for the legend known as Billy the Kid. In the howling winds of Silver City, New Mexico, 1870, the world was unkind, a barren stretch where hopes withered under an unforgiving sun. 14-year-old Henry McCarty wandered these lonely streets, a fragile child in a merciless land. He was small and swift, but beneath his quick steps lay a heart aching for love. His mother, Catherine, was his soft sanctuary. Her tender smile and whispered promise of, "We'll make it, Henry. Just you wait," were rays of light in an otherwise desolate world. Henry believed her, until the coughing started. At first, it was just a tickle in her throat, then a deep, racking torment that stole her breath. He believed her until blood stained her handkerchief, bright and terrifying. He believed her until her laughter faded into gasps, her strength into frail whispers, and her promises into silence. The only person who had ever truly loved him was gone. Fate had dealt its cruel hand. After Catherine's death, Henry and his younger brother were left in the care of their stepfather, William Henry Antrim, who never truly cared and abandoned them without a word, leaving them to fend for themselves. The boys were alone and forgotten, with nothing but the bitter echo of broken promises and the silence where comfort should have been. Henry did what Silver City expected of its orphans. He learned to survive. Forced to grow up too quickly, he scoured the streets for scraps, took odd jobs when he could, and begged when he had no other choice. But the world was unkind to the orphan boys. He did his best to look after his younger brother, but hunger and hardship were relentless. Some nights, they found shelter in alleyways or barns. Hunger gnawed at their bellies, the cold and insects bit at their skin, and each night was a gamble. As desperation tightened its grip, Henry learned that survival often came at the cost of innocence. He stole when he had to. At first, it was just a loaf of bread from a market stall, then a few coins from a gambler too drunk to notice. Each time, the risk was greater. Each time, the guilt faded faster. He learned speed the hard way. By necessity, not ambition, it was about survival. Dodging angry shopkeepers and the law when he stole food. So far, he had been lucky he hadn't gotten into serious trouble. Until one fateful night in September 1875, when the long arm of the law finally caught him in its grip. It was a cold night. He crept through a dimly lit alley, eyes locked on a small laundry house where fresh clothes hung, unguarded. Just a few shirts, maybe a coat, something to keep him warm, maybe something to pawn for food, he thought. He moved quickly, snatching a bundle and stuffing it under his arm. He almost made it. The door swung open and Sheriff Harvey Whitehill stepped out of the darkness, his revolver glinting in the lantern light. Before Henry could run, a firm grip locked onto his collar, yanking him backward. Moments later, he was being dragged through the dirt street and behind iron bars. His luck ran out that night as he was caught and jailed. He had been in jail for 2 days. Each passing moment was a reminder of his isolation, of a life robbed of gentle smiles and tender care. Henry sat in the dark, listening to the town sleep. He had stolen a bundle of clothes, nothing more, but the law didn't care. If he stayed, he'd rot in that cell. He had to get out. In the darkness, a fragile spark of defiance glimmered. Henry's eyes caught sight of a narrow chimney, a sliver of hope in a prison of despair. With trembling determination, he began his painful ascent, each agonizing inch a battle between despair and the yearning to survive. Until finally, the night air cool and indifferent welcomed him back to freedom. He pulled himself onto the roof, heart pounding. Below, the town was silent. He climbed down, landed softly, and vanished into the night, leaving Silver City behind. After his first jailbreak, Henry McCarty became a fugitive at just 15 years old. With nowhere to go in Silver City, he drifted through the New Mexico territory, surviving on wits, petty theft, and odd jobs. The open roads of New Mexico territory offered no solace. Henry drifted through a land as harsh and unforgiving as his own memories. For a time, he stayed with rancher George Atkins, working as a ranch hand and trying to keep a low profile. But trouble followed him. Before long, he fell in with a group of horse thieves and outlaws, including the notorious Jesse Evans gang. It was during this time that he honed his skills, riding fast, shooting straight, and learning how to stay ahead of the law. By early 1877, he had made his way to Arizona, where he continued stealing horses and gambling in frontier towns. He used different names: Henry Antrim, Kid Antrim, or simply Kid, trying to outrun his past. But on August 17, 1877, fate caught up with him in Camp Grant, Arizona. That was the night he got into a deadly fight with Frank Cahill, a blacksmith who had bullied him one too many times, an encounter that led him to a moment of irreversible change. Outside a dusty saloon in Camp Grant, Henry stood outside the saloon, dust swirling around his boots, his stomach twisting with hunger. He needed food, but Cahill had other plans for him. Drunk and spoiling for a fight, the blacksmith stepped out from the saloon. His boots crunched against the dirt as he closed the distance, taunting him with words that stung like the harsh desert wind. "Look what we got here, the little pimp thinkin' he's a man." In that charged moment, the air was thick with impending tragedy. Henry's voice, soft yet resolute, pleaded, "Leave me be, Cahill." Or what? A fist like a hammer smashed into Henry's jaw. He staggered back, gasping, but Cahill didn't stop. Another blow, harder this time, sent him sprawling into the dirt. The world spun as Cahill pounced, straddling him, massive hands clamping around his throat. Henry's lungs screamed for air. The weight crushed him, his vision darkening. He struggled, clawing at the ground. Each blow was a reminder of every injustice, every moment of abandonment, and with each strike, the quiet despair within Henry transformed into a desperate will to survive. In that dark, suffocating moment, his hand found the cold comfort of his revolver, and with a desperate yank, he ripped the revolver from its holster, pressed it into Cahill's gut, and pulled the trigger. The explosion rocked the night. Cahill jerked, his eyes going wide with something Henry had never seen before: fear, as he crumpled into the dust. Henry lay there, chest heaving, the gun shaking in his grip. His ears rang from the shot. His hands trembled from the kill. Then, shouts from the saloon. The law would come. Henry bolted. And as the evening surrendered to the advancing moonlit night, Henry McCarty vanished into legend. He was no longer merely a victim of fate. He was a force of nature, a ghost on the run, destined to be both feared and misunderstood. This is the dark, relentless journey into the mind of a criminal who defied logic. A journey where every choice is etched with sorrow, defiance, and the haunting echoes of a lost childhood. But this was only the beginning. The West had yet to learn his name. Stay tuned for part 2. The legend of Billy the Kid is just getting started. Follow, like, and share for more.